Next, we'll open up the composition called Effectors Review and open up our comp window a little bit more to take a look at some of the other effectors. First, we'll create a very simple shape by creating a path inside the comp window. It really can be any path, but I'm going to create a very simple squiggle so that I can make some kelp. Now, with the shape layer created, I can add to the contents any one of these. We've already seen merge paths, but offset paths will deliver something else. Offset paths will scale the way the path is drawn, either to the outside by adding to the value here in amount, or to the inside by subtracting the value. Now, we can't see its effect very much by using a straight line, but if we create a closed path by clicking and dragging on a shape here, then adding the effector, offset paths, we can see exactly what's happening in our new paths. By dragging a value positive, it moves the drawn shape outside of the original path, and a negative value will draw the shape inside of it. We'll undo a couple times to get rid of these. Now with our original path only, let's check out Pucker and Bloat. Pucker and Bloat works very much the same way as it does in Illustrator. Increasing the value will bloat the image, pushing all of the pixels outwards. Moving to a negative value will pucker the image, creating sharp points around the outside. Again, we'll select this and use backspace to delete it. Another effector we can take a look at is Twist. If we look at the options for Twist, we'll see that all we have is Angle. By clicking and dragging here, we can twist the value of the drawn result. The twist will always occur around the center of your shape or the entire group. We'll click on the word Twist and delete that effector. Then instead, go back up to Contents and use Wiggle Paths. We don't want to fill because what fill is doing is simply filling the shapes between the first point and the last point. Instead, what we want to do is stroke the path. So in the timeline, we'll turn off the eyeball for fill and turn on the eyeball for stroke. We'll also change the value of the stroke to a greater width by simply clicking and dragging. We'll also change the line cap at the end from a butt cap to a round cap. A quick RAM preview will show what wiggle paths will produce. The path that we drew is subdivided. Each one of those parts of the path is distorted and wiggled a little bit. We'll close up the stroke value and take a look at the wiggle paths values. Here under size, we can see what the size of our wiggle deformation is going to be. By increasing it, we can see the sharp deformations where the path is being subdivided into small segments, and those small segments are being moved off axis. The detail allows me to change how much this is going to wiggle. The points define the shape of the resulting wiggle. If I change from corner to smooth, it does smooth out the values a little bit, but it creates a very bumpy wiggle. If we navigate down in our timeline, we can see even more parameters for the wiggle. There are wiggles per second, which define how fast this is going to wiggle. Next is the correlation. This will determine how much each wiggle is like another. With a value of 50%, they are similar, but not all the same. If we change this value to 100%, we'll see that all of the wiggles are exactly the same. Now, because we have such a big value for our number, it doesn't look as though there are any wiggles, but there are, and they're all occurring exactly at the same time. If we change the correlation to 0, this means that none of the wiggles look like any other wiggle. We'll leave the value at around 50%, giving us a smooth change from segment to segment in our wiggle. The last three, temporal phase, spatial phase, and random seed, affect the way the wave of the wiggle moves through all of these subdivided pieces.